Hello class and welcome to today's lesson. I am sorry to announce that I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, but fear not, I've invited a special guest to fill in for me. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brad Pitt. Hello buddy, sorry to hear you are sick. Best wishes for a speedy recovery. Thank you Brad, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. No thanks needed, Mr. Edie. Anything for the man who taught me everything I know about science. Not to mention how to be a handsome and fabulous actor. I truly wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for you. Stop, Brad, you're going to make me blush. All right, class, I want you to give Mr. Pitt your undivided attention and respect. Take it away, Mr. Pitt. Will do, good buddy. All right, class, let's get started today. The purpose of our lesson is to understand the history of scientific discoveries that led to the standard model of particle physics. Our second purpose is to utilize the think aloud strategy to better comprehend scientific writing. Our success criteria for today: students, you're going to be actively engaged in note-taking during the presentation and reading activity. Second, students will practice the think aloud strategy in earnest on their own following the presentation. Before we get to the reading, let's talk about some key Tier 2 vocabulary words. Scheme. In science, a scheme is a system of how things work. For example, biologists use the scheme domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species to classify all life. That may sound familiar to you. Paradigm. A paradigm is the way scientists think about a particular topic or area of science. For example, Galileo challenged the paradigm that Earth was the center of the solar system when he provided evidence of a heliocentric or sun-centered model. Amalgamation. An amalgamation is the result of combining several things or ideas together. For example, Snickers is my favorite candy bar because it is an amalgamation of things I love: chocolate, peanuts, caramel, and chewy nougat. Now, let's get to the reading. All right, class. In today's lesson folder, you'll find a link to today's article, How Matter's Hidden Complexity Unleashed the Power of Nuclear Physics. In the last century, physicists have revealed a complex world of fundamental particles. Now, before we begin, I'm going to tell you we're going to practice a strategy for reading comprehension called Think Aloud. It was my good buddy Al Pacino who taught me this strategy. He said, "Woo-ha, kid, you got to be metacognitive. And by metacognitive, you got to be thinking about what you're thinking about." And I took that to mean when I'm reading scientific articles, I have to stop and think every now and then about what I'm reading. I can't just be blindly reading one syllable after the next. Instead, I got to ask myself questions. I got to make hypotheses. I got to develop images and share analogies about what I'm reading, or else I ain't going to remember what I'm reading. So let's give it a try. Matter is a lush tapestry woven from a complex assortment of threads. Diverse subatomic particles weave together to fabricate the universe we inhabit. But a century ago, people believed that matter was so simple that it could be constructed with just two types of subatomic fibers, electrons and protons. That vision of matter was a no-nonsense plaid instead of an ornate brocade. There's some words in that paragraph that I don't understand. I think I know what a plaid is. That's like the design where it's crisscrossing and triangles and all that. But I don't know what an ornate brocade, I don't know what that is. But let me think. This is an article about particle physics, and this seems to be about fashion. Maybe they're just making a metaphor. I probably don't need to worry about those words. I just need to know that it's a lot more complicated than what they once thought. That's the main idea. Let's go on. Physicists of the 1920s thought they had a solid grasp on what made up matter. They knew that atoms contained electrons surrounding a positively charged nucleus, and they knew that each nucleus contained a number of protons, positively charged particles, identified in 1919. Combination of these two particles made up all the matter in the universe, it was thought. That sounds familiar to me. I think I remember that protons were in the center and electrons moved around. I may have even seen a model in one of my classes. That went for everything that ever was or might be across the vast, unexplored cosmos or at home on Earth. I can just see that. The entire cosmos on a starry night, everything made up of atoms. Beautiful. The scheme was appealingly tidy, but it swept under the rug a variety of hints that all was not well in physics. You know, I remember when I was a kid and my mom told me to clean my room. I didn't have a rug, but I did sweep everything under the bed. I can kind of think of swept under the rug as like when I hid all my toys and various candy wrappers under my bed so my mom would think my room was clean. Let's move on. Two discoveries in one revolutionary year, 1932, forced physicists to peek underneath the carpet. First, the discovery of the neutron unlocked new ways to peer into the hearts of atoms and even split them in two. Then came news of the positron. Wow, I've never heard of a positron. Wonder what it could be. Let's read on. Identical to the electron, but with the opposite charge. Okay, so I guess a positron is an electron with a positive charge. That makes sense. Its discovery foreshadowed many more surprises to come. Now, I bet the rest of this article is going to talk about all the discoveries that came from. I knew about neutrons and protons and electrons, but I think the entire model of the atom is a lot more complicated. I can't wait to find out what it is. Additional particle discoveries ushered in a new framework for the fundamental bits of nature, now known as the Standard Model. That annus mirabilis, miraculous year, that must be Latin or Greek, who knows. Also set physicists' sights firmly on the workings of atoms' hearts, how they decay, transform, and react. Discoveries there would send scientists careening towards the most devastating technology, nuclear weapons. I know I careened around a few corners when I'm driving my sports car. The atomic bomb cemented the importance of science and science journalism in the public eye, says nuclear historian Alex Wellerstein of the Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken, New Jersey. You know, I think I filmed a film there in Hoboken. Terrible place. The atomic bomb becomes the ultimate proof that indeed the world is changing stuff. Ooh, that's a scary, scary thing. All right, class. I think you get the idea. At least after every paragraph, stop, ask questions. See if you understand it. If you don't, go back, read it again. If you still don't understand it, write down your questions. Ask your teacher, ask your friends. All right, the rest is up to you. Have fun learning and have fun reading about science. This has been Brad Pitt, and it's been my pleasure to be substitute teaching for this class. Hi, class. I want to extend my appreciation once again to Mr. Pitt for leading today's lesson, and I have a special announcement. Next class will be taught by another guest lecturer, Mr. Chris Hemsworth.
Hey bruv, it's Chris Hemsworth, yeah? And I really like science. Fancy a cup of tea? Maybe some crumpets? God save the Queen, yeah?